This vodcast brought to you by Power9 Games.
Hi guys, welcome to Frontier Gaming. We're here talking about the other half of Data and Destiny, the Corp, which is NBN this time around. We're going to be looking at these cards and then a couple new cards at the end. So Tim, why don't you go take it away?
I'm Tim, like you said. Thank you for the introduction.
Sorry.
No worries.
And I'm Z.
First card out of the pack, right out of the gate, we have Sync, Everything Everywhere. It's an identity, division. Click, flip this identity. Text, the runner pays 1 credit more when spending a click to remove a tag not through a card ability. On the back, when you flip it, it also says you pay 2 credits fewer when spending a click to transfer resource not through a card ability. So obviously it's a dual identity there.
Yep.
And it's a deck size of 40 with 15 influence.
And that's the kicker on this one. That's what I think sells it. Like, the ability is pretty cool. You're tagging people on NBN or trying to, and it makes it more taxing.
Yeah, like you said, the tax is huge. It may not seem like much, that 1 extra credit, but over time, over the length of a game, eventually it'll get to a point where they're just going to go tag me.
Yeah, and it turns Siphon into kind of a bad proposition a lot of times, which is pretty sweet.
Not only that, but I think the one thing about this that's pretty interesting, and when I play it and see other people play it, that happens a lot, is people forget the ability to flip it and trash stuff for free. Obviously, it takes the click, and you leave yourself open to them removing the tags.
But yeah, they'll siphon you, get you down to 0, and then think they're safe with tags, and then you just remove all their important pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a delicate balance trying to figure out when you're gonna flip the identity.
For sure.
And most of the time, I would say you're better off never flipping it.
Yeah, leaving it up.
Yeah. As we'll see with new cards that are coming up in the back of the pack, obviously there's a lot of good synergy with this ID. I think it's definitely, like we were talking about earlier, probably going to be the new problem ID, if you will.
I think so, yeah. I think this is going to be up there with any age in terms of
sheer power and utility.
For sure. All right, well, the next one is New Angelus Soul. It is Identity Division as well. It says whenever an agenda is scored or stolen, you may play 1 current from HQ or archives, paying its play cost. It's a 45-15 standard.
Nothing but the truth.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, I really want to like this ID. Immediately when you look at it, so looking at how many currents are in the current play pool, if you will, there's really not that many. There's obviously a lot of good NBN currents, but the main reason you're playing this ID, I think, is access to a card that's going to be coming up, and we'll discuss. Basically that beautiful ice that's out there.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people do interesting things with it.
Yeah.
I mean, enhanced login protocol jumps to mind immediately. So does as a neat little thing.
I saw some lag time decks where you basically play around with, you get to be that 1 HP identity where you're +1 to everything, and then but it has a lot of problems too. Like, if the runner has currents, it becomes a lot
better. Definitely. I think it's one of those cards that it's good, and people will come up with unique, awesome ways to play with the card.
Yeah.
But I feel like it still needs a little bit something more to be a tier 1 level deck.
We have the 1 ice right now. If there's like one more card that does something like that for this identity, then it's going to be real good, I think.
I agree. Next and final identity in the pack, we have a Spark Agency World's Wide Reach. Identity Division. The first time each turn you res an advertisement, the runner loses 1 credit. We're ready to start the fire. 45 deck size, 15 influence.
Yeah. It's really interesting identity, and I've seen it played to good effect, but it's kind of one of those, like, feast or famine, I would say, where, like, you either pressure the runner a whole lot with your ability early game and keep them down, or the runner, like, hedge funds twice, and it's just, you don't get to do anything.
Right off the bat, like you said, feast or famine definitely comes to mind. But it's always awesome, res a product placement, which the card we'll be getting to. Yeah. Right off the bat, bringing the runner down to 4 credits, and now you have to spend a click to get a credit to play that sure gamble turn 1.
Yep.
It's just really nice way to basically have a control deck from NBN.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. It's kind of a new theme, is control on the Corp side, where they get to, like, do stuff to the runner.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's really neat. I mean, it's a great, unique, flavorful ID. Obviously, you can put in a bunch of cool things in it, as we'll see in the rest of the pack, but Adonis campaigns, etc., stuff like that to maximize your advertisements.
Pop-up windows become a little hilarious.
Definitely not the nicest thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, lots more control. But at the end of the day, with these IDs, I feel like you have to compare them back to the gold standard of Near Earth Hub.
Yeah,
and
Near
is
Earth
it going to be something that is this better? Time will tell. I guess.
We'll see.
You know, but they're definitely unique, interesting playstyles that you're probably going to see a lot of in store championships.
For sure. Yeah, Spark obviously is going to be huge. Or I'm sorry, Sync is going to be huge. And I think Spark is maybe second place there, but we'll see what people do with all of them, I think.
Agreed.
Next up's the first agenda. It's a unique agenda, 15 minutes. It's 2 advancement, one agenda point, and it has an ability, a click to shuffle 15 minutes into R&D. The Corp can trigger this ability while 15 minutes is in the runner's score area. Limit 1 per deck. This is
it's really good. I mean, it's basically another breaking news.
It should almost say mandatory 1 per deck because I think everyone's going to run this.
Everyone's running it. I've also seen some decks. Obviously, people get really when you're talking about 24/7 convenient shop kill decks, etc. So it's another way to trigger that 24/7, which is another card we'll be seeing shortly. Yeah. Spoilers. Trigger that 24/7 to
more 2 advanced 1.
Keep that in mind. You're going to be seeing a lot of that. Once again.
Just scoring points, resing archers and stuff. Like you need having access to that stuff and fast. I mean, they're kings of fast advance, so
definitely
just more cheap agendas.
It's more good stuff. There's really no downside to this card at all, I would say.
It's 100% upside.
Exactly. Auto include, I would say. Awesome. Next agenda, we have Improved Tracers. It's a 3 advance, 1 agenda point, agenda security. All Tracer Ice have +1 strength. The base trace strength of each subroutine is increased by 1. It's awesome. I mean, it's a great ice for making news, which I think has been outside the scene for, kind of on the outskirts. Not really many people are playing making news. It definitely immediately comes right back in and bumps up all that Tracer Ice.
I mean, this is the faction to do it, right? This is why they have it. They have a lot of really good Tracer Ice and +1, and then +1 on the
so you're
trace strength. That's huge, and there's some
that's +3 with making news right off the top.
Like that could be really strong.
It's a great tax. I mean, it's just scoring it.
The problem is it's an agenda slot in the faction with some of the best agendas in the game.
At the end of the day, you have to be very specialized in your deck build in order to capitalize on it and get away from those Astro scripts, those Beals, etc., and other cards that will be.
I think that it might replace making news in some decks breaking news, where you don't need that 2 advance 1 point. You're not doing anything with the tags. You just want to have that bonus trace strength.
Right. I mean, it opens up a new play style.
For sure.
Right off the top of my head, there's not too many, maybe Yellow Jackets as a deck archetype where it's a taxing NBN deck. You know? And this opens up that playstyle, which is just great for the game in general.
Very cool. I think we got some control stuff. We got maybe some glacier-ish stuff out of NBN. So really exciting.
Good things.
Next agenda up is a Rebranding Team. It's a 4 advancement, 2 agenda points. It's an agenda : initiative, and it says all assets gain advertisement. So
this agenda, I like it so much. It's so awesome, especially obviously out of Spark. Right?
It's for Spark.
It makes all your marked accounts into now their advertisements as well.
But then you look at the 4 up in the top corner, and you're like,
throws you off so hard. Obviously, there's cards in this pack that help facilitate. But at what point, are you making things happen, and what point are you just playing jank? I guess.
Exactly. And I think the major question is, does Spark need all of their assets to be an advertisement for their ability to work? And I would say
not really. I mean, messing around with it and testing, when it does work and you are able to score one, it's pretty amazing. You can get very good control on the runner at that point. It's just a matter of being able to do so. And once again, deck slots, they're just too tight.
I think the deck slots are super tight, especially in NBN.
Definitely, but it's an awesome card. I like it a lot.
For sure. Last agenda here is a Quantum Predictive model. It's a 3 advance 1 point, agenda : security. It says if Quantum Predictive model is accessed from R&D, the runner must reveal it. If the runner is tagged when Quantum Predictive model is accessed, add it to your score area.
This card, oof, so brutal. There's nothing worse than bashing into one of these that's been sitting in archives just waiting for you like a trap.
Yeah, like
Obviously,
the
that's
data
just brutal.
raven, the data raven of archives. You just dump all 3 in the trash, and then you get they give you 3 points when they go run.
Put out a data raven, install it behind data raven.
Yeah,
profit,
exactly.
Basically, is what it should say.
Data ravens on the hand. Yeah. Like,
I mean, it's really good. I think these kind of agendas are nice because we talked a lot about Film Critic, and I don't feel like it's had that huge an impact on the meta game.
Right.
Whereas this like gives you more incentive to use that one influence and pump
Yep.
out that Film Critic
For sure.
in order to avoid this kind of stuff, especially in decks like Siphon Spam, Val, DLR decks,
Yeah, they're
and
gonna
stuff
be
like
tight.
that, where you're going to be smacking into these like crazy.
Yeah, I think it does make an argument for Film Critic being important, and like we thought Film Critic was going to be super important when it came out, and it's like I mean,
it's good.
it's cute, but like this, like giving NBN points is so dangerous.
Exactly. It's free points. It's free scores.
Yeah.
There's so many things
Yeah.
you can do with that.
Yeah.
It's a great card.
For sure.
And definitely has a place in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
So cool. Next card. First asset that we have. Lily Lockwell. She's a unique card. 2 credits to res. Asset character. When you res Lily Lockwell, draw 3 cards. Click and remove a tag. Search R&D for an operation. Reveal it and shuffle the rest of R&D. Add the operation to the top of R&D. And it has a trash cost of 3.
And 4 influence on this
4
one.
influence.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely on the pips.
So probably not splashing this around, and I'm not even sure if I'm playing this. Like,
We were just, as we were saying and we
Yeah.
were talking about it. Obviously, Timmy Wong, second place finisher at Worlds
Yeah.
this year, was running it in his deck. But obviously, it takes a special
Yes.
person to be able to pull that kind of play
Yeah.
off. I think it's good. Like we just said,
Yeah.
drawing 3 cards for 2 credits. It's good. But
yeah, it's not bad. And then if you have the deck, I think that wants to pull operations out of them, it can be good. And it denies an R&D access for a turn, which is kind of neat. So you put an operator on top deck, and unless it's Edward Kim, like they're probably not going to run it.
Yeah, or I mean, you're facing a noise with a clone chip or
Yeah.
something like that, and they say, "Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
putting that up there. We'll send."
Which
that
I
on
would say
its way."
is already a tough matchup for NBN.
Exactly. So it's a neat card.
Yeah.
Neat ability. I think
Yeah,
it
really-
has its place in probably some decks.
Yeah, well,
It's NBN. It's just tight.
yeah, it's
Gotta
very
make it
tight.
work.
All right, next asset is a news team. It's a zero to res ambush asset. It says if news team has access from R&D, the runner must reveal it. When the runner accesses news team, he or she must either take 2 tags or add news team to his or her score area as an agenda worth -1 points. It's 2 influence, 0 to trash. Basically, Shiq for NBN.
NBN Shiq. Yeah, I mean, this card right here is so insane.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about agenda spreads, and especially in decks 44-15s with
Yeah.
Sync.
Okay.
But this card right here, I mean,
Yeah.
taking 1 point away, like, it's huge.
And I mean, is the runner ever taking the 2 tags? Like,
even if so hypothetically, right? So you're running this in sync. So
Sure.
it's either you have to have 6 credits to ditch those 2
And 2
tags,
tags,
because
yeah.
odds are they're gonna do something very bad to you
Yeah.
if you have the tags.
yeah, you need 6 credits and 2 clicks left
And 2
after you've
clicks.
hit this in your turn already.
It's brutal, and then the agenda density is so low that
Yeah.
that -1 huge. It's nothing but good
Yeah,
in my opinion.
it's so good. Yeah.
Caveat that obviously as you tag them up, eventually it's just nothing, and they just take
Yeah.
the tags.
and
But
I think
your deck will capitalize.
now that this card is out and we have Shiq and we have like 15 minutes, I think like things like Data Dealer and where you forfeit.
Definitely, which
what's
is
the one where you
awesome.
forfeit to get a bad pub onto the court?
Oh, that's a dear Lord, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Frame Job.
Frame
Excuse
Job.
me.
Yeah, Frame Job. Which, and there's a card in here later. Frame Job is actually a pretty critical card, I would
Which,
say.
if you think about it, in those turns off for those other cards as well.
Yep.
Now you can get
Yep.
rid of this guy.
Yep.
So, good design space, obviously,
Yeah,
from
for
FFG.
sure.
You know, they're looking back at their past card pool and being able
Yeah.
to pull something
Yeah,
out that
let's-
has a benefit.
Let's give it a super strong card, but I mean, it's got some counters and
Definitely,
stuff. So.
and it definitely, for Jenks purposes, Harmony Medtech. I mean, let's slot that in with the GQs now.
yeah,
We've got
yeah, there you go.
crazy decks.
Yeah.
But great
Very
card.
cool. Yeah.
Next card,
Yeah.
Shannon Clare, unique character once again. 0 cost res, asset character. Click, draw 1 card from the bottom of R&D. Trash, search R&D or archives for an agenda and reveal it. Shuffle the rest of R&D if you searched it. Add the agenda to the bottom of R&D. 3 cost trash. It's pretty good. Immediately things that jump out to my mind are Wayland X running the government takeover, like slam that down to the bottom.
And it's only 2 influence, so like actually this is not
it's,
a bad.
It's doable.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It's good. I mean, it's almost essentially, the Corp's window, if you will. We all see how much that gets played in.
And actually, in those kinds of decks, like you throw your big 6-pointer down, wait for your punitive to show up, then you pull it up, and you're like,
exactly.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
So even then, I mean, it's a neat card. It's a neat effect.
For sure.
Don't know how good it is. I mean, it's got good synergy with Daily Business Show. So if you wanted that card that you had to send down, you can go get it if you need it. I mean,
you can throw a card down. If it's like an agenda, you don't want to have that turn and then.
But
you
want it the next.
Yeah,
exactly, definitely. I mean, and it's got good res to trash ratio. 0 credits, cost 3 to trash. I mean, it's good stuff. It's just find that slot in the card.
Yeah, and I think it's another cool thing. It's a unique character that trashes itself, so running multiples isn't a huge detriment to you.
Exactly, and if you need to use her ability, you can do it before the runner accesses it, which is good.
Yeah.
So, it's good stuff. New play styles for NBN. I mean, can't be bad.
And it's always good to see cards that that'll matriculate to the other corps and stuff. So
definitely
very cool. Next asset is Victoria Jenkins. She's a unique executive, 3 cost to res. If the runner has 1 fewer click to spend during his or her turn. If Victoria Jenkins is trash while being accessed, add her to the runner's score area as an agenda worth 2 points, and she is 5 to trash, 5 influence.
5 influence. One of those big 5 influence cards.
This is like Director Haas and Chairman Hero. This is
and
their card.
And the board.
Yep.
I mean, this is the NBN version.
Yep.
It's interesting. I mean, it's something that you wouldn't think of. I mean, the runner has 1 fewer click to spend during his or her turn. NBN not normally being known for taxing clicks.
Exactly.
So it's definitely unique. I've tried to slot it into RP with the enhanced login protocol to live the dream. Obviously, get that 3 clicks. But
it's tough.
It's tough at that influence. I mean, it's really good immediately with Wayland. You can use the card to go search for Executive Boot Camp. You can use Executive Boot Camp, go find Victoria Jenkins. So and that's only a 1 influence card, if I believe.
Yep.
So you can have access to her more tutorable, so make her more viable.
And I think something like the identity that New Angelus Soul that's pulling out enhanced login protocol, then you're getting somewhere with that where you're making it very hard for them to do something during their turn. And the question is if you can protect her.
Yeah, how good can she be?
Yeah.
But definitely a unique and different playstyle for NBN. So, which seems to be the theme with this pack. I would say.
Yeah, is expanding their board a little bit.
Their repertoire, if you will.
For sure.
Cool. This is one of my favorite cards, and the card art in this is phenomenal. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, it's probably the funniest card art I've ever seen. Reality 3D. It's an illicit asset. When you res Reality 3D, take 1 bad publicity. When your turn begins, gain a credit, or 2 credits if the runner is tagged. 6 trash cost, 2 influence. I mean, it's basically a free pad campaign.
Yeah.
Like, guaranteed. Obviously, you get the 1 bad pub, which is really bad.
If you can get rid of it, though, then it's way better than a.
I mean, it's in faction
campaign.
with Expose. So obviously, Expose, for those of you who don't know, 2 credits, res it, trash it, get rid of any bad pub for how many advancement counters are on it. And so right off, and it in a meta where obviously with these NBN decks, we're going to be looking at a lot of tags. I mean, it's not unreasonable to think that, 2 credits, you're going to be banking that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's imp bait.
I mean, it is imp bait, and I think NBN has a lot of problem with imp already, though. So. But I mean, they also have a lot of targets for imp, a lot of kill combo stuff, a lot of other big assets.
Definitely,
like
it's not unreasonable to sit out there and bank you some credits. So, and if you can get rid of the bad publicity, even better. It's just a huge pain. Obviously, no one's going to be going in running. Even Wizard pays 3 to trash this.
6 trash cost makes it pretty tough.
It's solid, sturdy card.
Yeah.
But we have yet to see. Who knows? Maybe someone will be able to capitalize on it really well and make that deck that makes it really sing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. All right, now we're on to Ice. First Ice up here is Archangel. It's 6 strength, Codegate, Tracer, Ambush, and it's 4 to res. And it's got a whole bunch of text on it. It says, if Archangel is accessed from R&D, the runner must reveal it. If you pay 3 credits. When the runner accesses Archangel, he or she immediately encounters it. Ignores the ability of Archangel's access from archives. It's got 1 subroutine. It's a Trace 6. If successful, add 1 installed runner card to his or her grip, and this one is 4 influence.
It's a good card. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the strongest ice, I would say, that we've seen for NBN since Toll
In a while, yeah.
Easily.
And it's I think they were correct in giving us a lot of influence, because this is a card you would see a lot. I mean, ice that is an ambush trigger, very, very strong.
Outside of Sunny, no one is busting that Trace.
Yeah, like,
it's just gonna hit.
Yeah, it's gonna hit,
most likely.
and there's so many things that, like, hitting a console, hitting like R&D interfaces and things like that.
Most of the time, you just look at the board and say, "What's the most expensive?"
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously,
yeah.
you can target things, but at the time, depending on the economy advantage, you know, you're gonna hit that expensive item.
Yep.
But I mean, it's really good ice. Obviously, we live in a David world, so it only has 1 subroutine, so it's got a little bit of vulnerability. So all in all, I'd say it's a really balanced card, and it's obviously really nice that you have that ambush effect.
Yep.
You know. To trigger that if you're running as
high
on econ.
If you can't afford to put it on the table and res it, then it has a lot of value in your hand and in your deck. So
definitely, it's a great card. I mean, at least probably an auto include in most NBN decks.
I mean, I think
you're gonna see at least one of these.
Yeah, for sure. Crick like in its ubiquitousness.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Next piece of ice, Hound. It's 2 res cost. It's a sentry and a tracer. Strength 4. It says, if a current is active, Hound gains subroutine and the run after all its other subroutines. It has 1 subroutine, trace strength 3. If successful, give the runner 1 tag, 2 influence cost. So this is your soul.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. This like a 4-cost sentry that has an end the run is very, very strong.
It's super useful. Obviously, Mimic being ubiquitous, as we've said.
Yeah, and only 2 to res. Like I mean, super strong.
It's great. I could see it being played in any other NBN deck that if you're running currents, it has value there.
It's only 2 influence, so I could see it in other places too that want that 4 strength sentry and play currents. Probably like HB is the one that I could say most often can afford the, and maybe they're not hurting for 4 strength sentries. So
it has a spot. Obviously, it shines in New Angela's Soul.
It's the reason you play New Angela's Soul is to get this card turned on.
Yep, I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah, for sure. Next ice is Resistor. It's a 0 strength barrier tracer with 0 res cost. It says the Resistor has +1 strength for each tag the runner has, and it has 1 subroutine, trace 4 if successful, end the run, and it is 2 influence.
So good.
0 res ice that ends the run.
Obviously, it's parasite bait.
Yeah. I mean, what isn't in NBN?
It isn't. But if someone's parasiting this, I'm happy all day with that.
I paid nothing.
Exactly. So.
And then in like sync, this thing can get
in sync it's insane. And not only that, but trace strength 4. Obviously, Sunny doesn't care.
Yeah, and there's some runners that will be able to afford the trace, but
it's good. I mean, it will stop. And like you said, sync. The synergy is.
It's one of those ice that like it makes its cost back because either it's just a basic like they pay 1 with corroder to break it, or they go through the trace, or it's got a billion strength and they have to go through the trace. So like it's just always gonna have value, and if it gets parasited, then that's 1 less.
That's
parasite.
even better for you.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. It's a good card. It's definitely one of those ice that when you run into it, you're just kind of immediately sad. I can't believe I just hit that.
Or you're playing Nasir and you run into 3 of these.
The Nasir hatred, it's out there.
Yeah.
So. But good card.
Very cool.
Next card, special offer. It's a 1 res cost. Ice. It's a trap advertisement. So for your Spark decks.
Yep.
Strength 3. Subroutine. The Corp gains 5 credits. Trash special offer. So. I think it speaks for itself. It's going in your Spark deck.
2 influence, so probably not worth taking anywhere else. besides Spark, and maybe in other NBN decks, I think, where you're like, hey, let's get some free money.
No one's gonna be using their Faust to break through the special offer, most likely. It's just not happening.
I think I've done it with Ottman, but that's only because it's not too far out of my way.
Definitely.
But it's tough to justify breaking this.
It's good in Spark. It's a really good card. It's an immediate if they don't deal with it.
Yeah,
it's a 6 credit swing. Well,
it makes 5
credit total.
Makes Spark kill very dangerous. Where
Definitely.
like, do I want to give you 5 credits and then maybe hit an agenda, turn on mid seasons? Yeah, like can get really treacherous.
It's a
quick.
problem piece of ice to be sure that it has a special place in a special deck.
Yep,
but
it's very cool.
Solid all around.
Yeah. All right, next up is another piece of ice, TLDR, 4 strength code gate with 1 res cost. It's got 1 subroutine. It says when the runner encounters the next piece of ice during this run, that ice gains a second copy of each subroutine on it after the original subroutine for the remainder of the encounter.
I love the flavor text on this one. Too long, didn't read. Duplicate the subs on the next piece of ice. Awesome. Good tongue in cheek.
There's some cool stuff. Yeah, and it's a 2 influence, which actually I think makes it kind of splashable because this can be a really powerful effect at 4 strength, 1 to res. This can
outside of Yogg range. Not that Yogg is very prevalent right now, but it's good.
But it could
make a comeback always.
There's some cute stuff you could do with this. Make it unbreakable, have it trigger, force them to run into something else. But it has the same problem that like Sensei and Chum have had for the whole game, where
it's positional.
Yeah, you hit it, they jack out, figure out what they need to do to deal with it, come back in, and then it's irrelevant. But
at best, they hit it and it's an end the run essentially.
Yeah.
And then they parasite your ice behind it, what have you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's neat. I'd say it's probably one of the lesser cards in this pack.
For
Someone
sure.
will find a way to make it work.
It's
beautifully.
It's super cool though, and it's one of those things where like it's got a lot of counters, but if the runner like decides to go through it, they're paying a whole lot to do whatever they're doing.
Exactly.
So,
the tax is real.
Unless they're Sunny, I guess, and then they just break all subroutines on the next piece of ice and they don't even care.
Exactly. Next piece of ice, Turnpike. It's 2 to res, 3 strength. It's a sentry tracer. It reads, when the runner encounters Turnpike, he or she loses 1 credit. Subroutine, trace strength 5. If successful, give the runner 1 tag, and it's 2 influence. So
yeah, this is a really good piece of ice. I've seen this all over the place. It's another cheap sentry, 2 to res, throw a tag out, and then it's a
baby toll booth basically. You're gonna get
baby
taxed.
Toll booth, yeah.
I like to compare it to Caduceus.
Sure.
Because it still suffers from it's basically essentially 2 credits to break through it.
Yep.
3 strength, it suffers the mimic problem.
Yep.
But it's solid early game ice. That the trace strength 5, that's obviously gonna be huge. So at worst, it's gonna tax them 3 credits, let's say, the first time they hit it.
If you this slots into like an improved tracers decks really well. Like
Definitely.
you get this thing to 4, and then it's actually really annoying.
It's really painful.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's got to have the right pieces to really make it shine.
For sure.
But
and nothing else. It's a 2 cost sentry that the runner is gonna break it. It's a 5 trace. Like they're not gonna do that trace. So they're gonna break it, and so that's got value in and of itself.
At worst, it's annoying. It's always gonna be a 2 credit to get through, which is good for 2 credit res.
Yeah.
Immediately payback.
Exactly.
So, cool.
All right.
The beast.
Now we get to one of the most divisive cards I would say in this pack. It's an event, a 24/7 news cycle. It's operation, and it says as an additional cost to play 24/7 news cycle, forfeit an agenda. Resolve the when scored ability on an agenda in your score area.
3 influence.
Yeah, 3 influence. So that's
it's
small,
an
small
NBN.
graces. Like the thing is you breaking news.
The harpsichord, convenience shop, 24/7 Scorch deck.
Yeah.
It's real. It will bite you. You will get burned out on turn 2 or 3 by Scorch.
Luckily, I don't think any other faction is getting value out of this.
No other.
There's some you can do some beta test stuff with this thing, which might be cute, but so that's a small.
Also neat to know is when you play it on your breaking news, not only do they get the 2 tags, but because there's no end of turn effect, they just keep 2 tags.
Yeah.
So they are now tagged, and if you're sync, let's say
if
that's
they're
6 credits.
if they're still alive,
exactly.
This is just a way to get tags on them, I guess.
This kind of card right here is. You have to have Scorch protection right now in your deck in some fashion, whether it be I've had worse or Plascretes. that just seems to be where the metagame is going.
Yep. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's the wake up call we needed. Is you need to run Plascrete.
Definitely. I mean, it seemed like, only a year ago that everyone was running Plascretes,
Yeah.
that it was mandatory include, and, people kind of got away from it.
Yeah.
And then the
Sure.
butcher shop kind of rose. This is just aggressive butcher shop.
Scorched
basically.
Earth is a card, and it's going to be played. So
Exactly. Great card, and you'll see it played often.
Yeah, for sure.
Add Blitz. This is perhaps one of my favorite cards.
Oh, yeah?
that is difficult to pull off. Its cost is X. It's a double. As an additional cost to play this operation, spend a click. Text says, install in res, paying all costs. X advertisements from archives and or HQ if able, and it's 1 influence.
Yep.
It's super neat
Yeah.
if you have the money to pound out a bunch
Yeah.
of assets, specifically advertisements, etc.
Yeah, and so this kind of gives a little bit of value to that agenda earlier, where it gives all assets advertisement.
Exactly, rebranding team.
And so then this is pretty live, but
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
awesome for a rebranding team to pull it off.
Yeah.
What I would like it to say personally is, if you didn't have to pay the res cost, right? Like, I think you would see a lot more
'cause
play.
That is the main problem, right? Is that you have to have a ton of money
ton of
you have
money
to
to pull
not
it
all.
off.
I mean, you install them, which is fine, but you have to res every one of
Every
them that you
single
put
one of
down.
them.
So
So, in those NEH Turtleback decks with asset spam, if you somehow get a rebranding team off,
Yep.
then you could do some really amazing things with
very
this.
cool, yeah.
But it's a niche card. It's
Yeah.
tough to play.
Yep.
But it's really cool effect that when it happens, it's
Definitely.
gonna be one of those moments in the game where you look and you're like, this just happened.
Yeah, and some fun stuff could happen with like turtlebacks, so you could make your money back with it, but
Niche.
yeah, for sure. All right, next up is another event, Media Blitz. It's a 2-cost event. Current. This card is not trashed until another current is played or agenda is stolen. Choose an agenda in the runner's score area. Media Blitz gains the text of that agenda.
3 influence.
Yep, 3 influence. Yeah.
Obviously, Soul comes up.
Yeah.
Whenever
Soul.
you look at a current, it's like, how does this
Yeah.
affect Soul?
What I have seen this played and is insane is
HB.
mandatory upgrades. Oh man, then you're paying 2 credits to gain a click for until
They score.
Yeah,
Basically, really good. I mean, any agenda that has an ability on it that's that you can use over
Yeah.
and over again, it's going to be really good.
This makes that cybernetics division, like where you just motion out a thing and you either win if they take it or you win if they don't kind
Definitely.
of thing. Like this is super
I've
strong.
seen some really awesome things where people feed you a restructured data pool and then
Sure.
you just proceed to try and tag them to high heaven with it.
Yeah.
Super crazy stuff like that. It's a very interesting, and like you said, in HB,
Yep.
with mandatory upgrades,
Yeah.
it's
So good.
its own fast advance problem
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
Really good and pretty well
At
costed.
that point, it's a 2-cost mandatory or biotic labor. So
Exactly.
Very
So,
cool.
Really good. Really
Yep.
neat card.
All right. Next up.
To you, I believe.
Yep. We got All Seeing Eye, 1 credit event operation. Play only if the runner is tagged. Trash all resources. The runner can remove 1 bad publicity to prevent this.
I think this card speaks for
Yeah,
itself, right?
that's-
What it's good for.
This is
I think a lot probably at Worlds. Obviously, you went to Worlds. You probably
Yeah.
saw this out there.
yeah, it was
it's-
people were playing it.
Exactly. I mean, it's so good, especially in Tag Me, DLR decks, etc.
Yep.
Obviously, most of them are running Val, so
Yeah,
she
and
does not
I
care.
think this is why everyone played Val for the DLRs, because you're
Exactly.
playing someone besides Val, then this is a huge problem.
It's really good. I mean, some of the top players, even our world champion Dan,
Yeah.
he basically said, this isn't, and he's playing the DLR. This isn't the answer. The answer is Freelancer.
Sure, yeah.
To get the trashes
Yep.
off for sure.
Yeah.
But in order to make it truly effective, you got to land 2 of them. So, but in decks that are going Tag Me and resource heavy.
Yeah.
Perhaps versus a Sunny, dear Lord, this can be amazing. If
Yeah.
timed
Sunny
appropriately.
Noise hates this because like
exactly all the things he has.
Yeah, he needs those things to play his game, and so this can set him back. And there's like Sunny and a lot of people playing a lot of resource stuff. So
it's a good card. I mean, at 1 influence, it's really nice. You know, if your meta is huge on Tag Me, etc., you know, you can just slot this into a deck if you need to as an answer.
Sync is just playing this because they're gonna get a tag on you eventually, and it's a lot cheaper to do this than even to
flip your identity.
Yeah,
so no kidding. But
very good.
It's a good card. It's out there. It's one of those cards you definitely need to be aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Next card, Surveillance Sweep. It's a 2-cost operation. It's a current. This card is not trashed until another current is played or an agenda is stolen. The runner must spend credits first for each trace during a run, and it's 3 influence.
Yeah, so this is really cool in Soul, actually. It makes all that Tracer Ice even more punishing, because then they have to decide if they're going to break that trace before or not.
It's really neat, also, because it's one of those cards that changes the core mechanics of the game. Like the fundamental mechanic of, you know, the Corp pays its trace, then the runner goes. Well, now the runner has to have that mind game of, like, ooh, are they going to boost this even more? Like, do I have to, how much do I have to spend? And then the Corp just says, oh, I'm not going to spend anything.
And then, like, the core NBN loves this card because they have all of that money for traces, and it's hard to decide when to spend it. 2 credits
for traces, it immediately pays off the cost to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a really good card. It's definitely out there. It's one of those. It makes that whole archetype of trace ice, you know, with your improved tracers, etc. It just brings it, you know, really good. And hopefully, you know, someone will come up with that deck that really makes it shine.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, next up we got Keegan Lane is a unique upgrade, 0 Kosta Res. He's a sysop. It says trash and remove a tag to trash 1 program. Use this ability only during a run on this server. Oh man, this is
3 trash cost too.
Yeah, 3 trash cost, 3 influence.
Res to trash, 3 influence.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like
really
especially
good.
in these Tag Me decks. You know, you just pop it. I hesitate to say it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's so much recursion out there right now that
for sure.
You know that you can work around it, but it definitely is one of those cards where you can sneak out a scoring window.
Yep.
And it might provide just that little oomph you need to get there. But it's definitely another upgrade that's amazing. Yeah. You know, that you're gonna look out there and be like, ooh, what is that?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think
you're probably not gonna see it outside of NBN, but.
Probably not
definitely
yet. I don't think anyone besides NBN is getting a tag on the runner that easily.
I mean, and a lot of times in a lot of NBN decks, you know, sometimes the ice just isn't as taxing, and so they're able to get through, and just being able to trash that program to help, you know, boost open that mid game.
Make your
really
walls
nice.
of static actually impregnable by putting a Data Raven in front of them.
Exactly.
So
lots of good combos with him.
For sure.
He'll be slotted in decks for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Next card, Rutherford Grid. It's a 0 res cost upgrade and region. The base trace strength of each trace during a run on this server is increased by 2. Limit 1 region per server. 4 trash cost, 2 influence.
It's interesting. I mean, you're NBN, so you're playing San. But I think in that deck that's playing all the trace ice, improved tracers, this is actually a really cool include, and it makes that kind of that Glacier NBN
real.
Yeah.
I almost think like I've tried slotting this into decks, like, you know, maybe you go away from the 3 San City grids. Maybe you put 1 San in and a couple of these to you know, just make it taxing enough to where they can't run your centrals. Yeah. You know, and you can score out of another server. But I mean, it's super neat. I love cards that, you know, 0 res cost for 4 trash. That's always great. You know, you always want to see cards like that as a corporation.
Yeah, and I mean, this is pretty good on R&D with like some Data Ravens, some Gutenbergs.
For me, it's like a Chrysium grid in that it's that card that you don't want to see and you need to trash it, but you don't want to pay that cost,
so expensive.
But it's there.
Yeah.
So it has a use. We'll see when, you know, what deck really capitalizes on it.
For sure.
But it's a neat card. I think it's a very interesting card.
Definitely.
Oh
man, I got getting all the good ones here. Global Food Initiative. It's a neutral agenda, 5 res cost, 3 points. It's an initiative, and it says Global Food Initiative is worth 1 fewer agenda point while in the runner's score area, and it is 1 influence.
And it'll never rotate out of cycles, so that's great.
That's great.
Good stuff.
This card's insane.
This card is insane.
This was the harbinger of HB's return and we saw it was all over Worlds. It was at Worlds I played 5 HBs in a row. All were playing global food. I think there was some insane in like the top 16. There were like 8 HBs or something crazy like that. Yeah, the world champ like food coats. Dan was playing it. Definitely. Yeah, just everyone is playing this card.
It's really good. I mean, just looking at it at face value, you get that 3 agenda point agenda. So, but it's only 2 to the runner.
Yep.
So it decreases agenda density.
Like, I'm definitely one of those players who I don't think I've ever played a deck. Well, I shouldn't with 3-point agendas because the cost of getting it stolen. The cost of getting stolen is so high. And so this lets me play fewer agenda cards. It lets me score 3, and the runner still has to take 4. So it's just really good. Yep. And there's so many. I mean, you can install it and never advance it. And then if you, hypothetically, let's suppose you have a Biotic Labor or a Sansan or any insert fast advance card here, you can now score it at a turn with never advance, so and win the game ostensibly. Yeah, exactly. So it's so good. I mean, obviously, this is kind of what led to at Worlds you saw a lot of players playing turntable, etc. Yeah, turntable to try and get rid of those Astro counters, try and get rid of the breaking newses, and take away 3 points from the Corp. Yep, for sure. Obviously, those food coat decks, like this is a must score for them. That's how they win the game. Yeah, it's that good. This will be around for quite some time. I think, and it makes a lot of Corp identities that would have problems scoring against the runner. That makes them a little bit better. So that's good. Unfortunately, HB is so big right now that it's so bittersweet to steal too. As a runner, you just look at it and you're like, well, that is awful. Thank you. Yeah. For that. Yep. But great card. I love it. It's definitely out there. Yeah, we'll see it around a lot. Next card, a neutral asset, Astrobar is what it says on the art. Yeah, you got to start with the art. Right? Yeah. Launch campaign, it's a 1 Kosta Res asset advertisement. Place 6 credits from the bank on launch campaign when it is resed. When there are no credits left on launch campaign, trash it. When your turn begins, take 2 credits from launch campaign, 2 trash cost. Yep. So it's vanilla. Yeah. I mean, it's an advertisement, which is good in Spark, and I think some other corps that want, quit. It's kind of like a daily cast almost for the Corp. I've seen Blue Sun decks run it as the basically an alternative to running Adonis campaign. Yep. So you get that cheeky little extra 1 credit for bouncing it back to your hand, and you keep it around. So it's a free, basically beanstalk, if you will. So it definitely has a place out there. It's solid, if not spectacular. Yeah. It's a good neutral card that's not going to rotate out. Exactly. All right, last card here is a neutral piece of ice. It's called Assassin. It's a 5-strength Sentry Destroyer AP Tracer with 7 res cost. It's got 2 subroutines. First one is Trace 5. If successful, do 3 net damage. And then Trace 4. If successful, trash 1 program. It's good. Yeah. It expensive to res, but like there's not a lot of really good neutral ice out there. I would say like spectacular. There's no influence for it. Obviously, it's neutral, so you can just plug it in anywhere you want. Yeah, and it fills that neutral slot that is a big piece of ice that people might. It's not really nice in those HB decks who are maybe they're using influence on food coats, etc. Yep. And so they can put in that ice with a little bit of extra teeth, a little bit of oomph. You want that big sentry that isn't Janus levels to res, but it's also like, and they can't. David takes 2 counters, so it eats up almost a whole David. Exactly, it's just a good piece of ice. The traces are big, so I mean, outside of like Sunny Rabbit Hole, like they're not breaking them with. I mean, if you're not careful, it can kill you. Oh yeah, it definitely can. It's definitely something to be cognizant of. For sure. And it'll see a lot of play, I think. Yeah, definitely. It just rounds out a really great data pack for NBN. Yeah. Excuse me, Corp set box, if you will. Yeah. For sure, there's some really interesting cards, and I think if you were to ask me what NBN needed to like besides nothing, I would have said still nothing. I still don't want them to have anything, and I'm amazed by what they've given here. It's a lot of awesome options, some really strong cards, but also just a lot of like cool, interesting playstyles. Yeah, definitely. It opens up that
creativity to
Yeah.
the players who don't want to play fast advanced NBN.
Yep.
It gives them options, to spread out, explore. I'd say prior to this box being released, NBN was probably one of the strongest factions, if not the strongest. And not much has changed. They're right up there hanging with that food coats.
But yeah, I think the pack brought some cards that are going to make other corps better. It also made some of the old NBN identities a lot better, which is very cool, I think. A lot of the ones that weren't played a lot. So just a really cool pack.
It's all around good designs by FFG, really.
Yeah. And I think the box as a whole with the runner cards, like just a lot of super interesting stuff. Like there's some overtly powerful cards, but there's also just a lot of like super interesting, like we'll see where they come out cards. So.
Definitely. And it's one of those things that you always got to keep in the back of your mind that FFG is so far ahead that some of these cards that may not seem super amazing now, that they're just one card away that can really trigger it and make it an amazing card in the future.
Sure. I think they've shown that with cards in here, and I think there's cards in here where we will see the fruits of this later.
This pack later.
Yeah,
definitely.
So thanks guys for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed our unboxing of both the runner and the corpse side. And till next time.
Till next time, we'll see you.
Thanks.